Why, hello there! My name's Mackenzie. Today we're going to be talking about prayer. The supplies you're going to need for this video is the worksheet. It is linked in the description below, so print it out. You're also going to need something to color with, and you will need some scissors and some glue or tape. And the last thing you're going to need is your Bible. That's the book for us. So grab those 5 things: the worksheet, something to color with, scissors, glue or tape, and the Bible. Last week we talked about loving your enemies. We wrote a kind note to them and we prayed for them. This week we're going to be talking about prayer. What does it mean? How do we do it? Well, today we're looking at Matthew chapter 6, verses 5 through 8. So pull out your Bible, and if you have your bookmark in there, we can open up right to the book of Matthew. And now we are looking for the chapter, which is chapter 6. So look for a big 6. I see a big 6 right there. So now we're in Matthew chapter 6. And now we look for the verse, which is a tiny little number. And so we're looking for a tiny 5. And I see a tiny 5 right there. So the little title above mine says Concerning Prayer. So looking for Matthew chapter 6, verse 5. So we're still reading the Sermon on the Mount, and this is when Jesus is talking to a crowd of people. So Jesus says, "When you pray, don't be like the hypocrites who love to pray publicly on street corners and in the synagogues where everyone can see them. I tell you the truth. That is all the reward they will ever get. But when you pray, go away by yourself, shut the door behind you, and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father, who sees everything, will reward you. When you pray, don't babble on and on as the Gentiles do. They think their prayers are answered merely by repeating their words again and again. Don't be like them. For your Father knows exactly what you need even before you ask Him." So Jesus is telling us 2 things in this passage. He's saying, don't do this, but do this. Don't do this, but do this. In that first part, he's saying, don't be showy with your prayers. Don't shout them from rooftops and make a big deal out of it. Prayer is just a conversation with God. Jesus says that God hears everything. So when you pray, you should do it in private because you're just having a conversation. You're just talking to Him about your day or things that you're grateful for. When I pray, I imagine that I'm just sitting with God, sitting in His presence and just talking to Him about anything that comes to mind. Jesus goes on to say, when you pray, don't babble on and on. This part of the passage is my favorite part because I have felt so insecure about my prayers. They're usually pretty short and I don't have lots of fancy words. But in this passage, Jesus says, your Father knows exactly what you need even before you ask Him. So I don't need to have long prayers or fancy words to have the prayer be important. Prayer is just a conversation, right? So you can tell God anything. You can say, hey God, I just had the most fantastic peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Thank you so much for making peanuts because peanut butter is such a good food. That is a great prayer. It doesn't need to be fancy or have really important meaning. You can just talk to Him. You can tell Him about your day. You can tell Him about a friend that you made, or you can ask Him for help or anything. You could talk to Him about anything at any time. So what Jesus is telling us in this passage is to not be showy with our prayers, but to talk to God in private. And He's also saying you don't need to have long, flourishing prayers, but you can just tell Him about anything because He knows and He hears you. So a while back, my dad brought this cube to the dinner table. This is a cube with lots of different prayers on it. So we would roll the cube and read out the prayer before every dinner, which was such a fun way to do different prayers each dinner that we had. So, can you guess what craft we're going to be doing today? You guessed it, we're going to be making a prayer cube. So, the first part of this craft is to color each of the squares. I have colored my squares. You don't really need to stay inside the lines because we're just going to be cutting it anyways. So first, color each of the squares. Each of these squares is going to be the side of the cube. And inside the squares, I have written the beginning to a prayer. So I will read off the sentence starters that I have, but you can put whatever beginning of the prayer that you want. So, for example, my sentence starters are, God, you are ... So that is saying, God, you are powerful, you are present, you are loving. So that is one prayer that you can do. The next one I have is, I am thankful for ... And in parentheses, I wrote activity. So this is saying like, I am thankful for coloring. But you can put whatever activity that you want. But it has to be an activity if it's in the parentheses. The next one is, I am thankful for, and this doesn't have anything in parentheses, so it could be whatever you're thankful for. Like, I am thankful for cheese pizza. And the next one is help me with. So you can pray, Lord, help me with making friends at school. And that would be a good prayer. I also have, I would like to pray for. So you can say, I would like to pray for my friend. I pray that they have a good day. And the last one is, I am thankful for. And then in parentheses, I wrote person. So maybe a person that you're thankful for. I am thankful for my mom. And those are my prayer sentence starters. You can color this, and after you color it, you're going to cut it out. So it's important when you cut it out to keep it all one piece. So when you cut it out, don't cut any of the flaps off. You want to have all 6 of the squares and all of these little flaps intact. So cut it out like this, and then you're going to fold each of the lines. And every time you fold, you're going to fold it like inward. And you don't need to like keep it folded. So you can start here and just fold down, and then you can fold these little tabs, and then you fold this line here, you can fold this line here, you can fold here, and then fold, 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 until all of the lines have little creases in them. And then the next step is to glue them. So you're going to glue all of these little flaps to the inside of the cube. So you can start on the side that has 3 flaps and put glue on this side and on this side, and then attach them to the like side of the next box. So attach it there and there. And then you're going to add glue to these flaps on the sides, and then attach it to those ones. So then you're almost there. And on the top part, there are 3 flaps that you can put glue there and there and there. And then you add the last part of the box. So once you glue all of these together, or if you have tape, you can just tape the little lines across to keep it together. And once you glue it all together, you have your prayer cube. So my prayer cube looks like this. So this is my prayer cube. It is still a little bit gluey, but it works. So today I would like to invite you to roll this prayer cube and go to your room and pray to God in private, because it is just a conversation, just you and God talking away. Thank you so much for joining me this week as we talked about prayer. Remember to put your bookmark back in your Bible because we're going to be coming back to Matthew next week. See you later.